Hi and good evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I am Buddham. Now the latest headlines from world channels and news agencies.
Purported leak.
Tonight, we're live in Los Angeles. Firefighters making major progress today, but there are new warnings tonight. The weather is about to get a whole lot worse. The massive aerial assault over Los Angeles. Firefighters using everything they have. We're on the ground with crews as water is dropped from above. Under the air, it's going to attack it from above. How they were able to slow the fires today. Now the city bracing for another round of dangerously strong winds. Firefighters from all over North America flooding in to help. Our teams covering all of it, including the new warnings about drones interfering with firefighting planes. New images after one was damaged. The FBI now on the case. Long lines as desperate families wait hours and hours hoping to get in to see their homes. We're able to show one family that their house is still standing.
I can't thank you enough.
Death toll rising, the former child actor, the father staying behind with his disabled son. What we're learning about those who did not make it out. The special counsel's report on President-elect Trump set to be released are reporting on what's in it. And faith after the fires, the family singing hymns where their homes once stood, and the congregation welcomed into a new home.
This is NBC Nightly News with Hallie Jackson.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin Sunday. Thanks for being here. Two tremendous guests, Professor John Yoo and our friend Ben Shapiro as well. I'm not a very happy camper, ladies and gentlemen, not in the least, as a result of inactions taken by the United States Supreme Court in a 5-4 order the other day, which you're generally familiar with. And this is an order that basically told the Trump lawyers in New York, go ahead and proceed with your judicial abomination. And you have no recourse. Now, I want to discuss this at some length because I think some of the legal analysis is fantastic, but it's way off point. The issue here is not just what happened in that courtroom. What happened in that courtroom in Manhattan was a disgrace. The jury instructions, prejudicial testimony, phony laws, ignoring the immunity decision of the Supreme Court, and so forth and so on. The fact that the judge ruled that he's not going to imprison the President of the United States, that's not a victory to me. Well, let's start from the beginning. We have something called the Supremacy Clause. Why do we have that? I'll tell you why we have that. We had an Articles of Confederation, and the problem was the national government had no authority. The state governments would thumb their nose at the national government. The state governments were fighting with each other. The national government couldn't raise taxation even to have an army, even to pay its debt. And so a number of our founders got together and said, we got to change this. And long story short, we got our Constitution. One of the areas that they debated at length, was, well, whose law should control what? because that was the heart, the core of the problem before. So they came up with us today, Article 6, Clause 2, the Supremacy Clause. Now, what does it say? This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made and pursuant thereof, and all treaties made or which may be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Wow, that's a big...
Tonight, breaking news from Southern California. More red flag warnings as firefighters race to contain multiple major fires. Authorities announce additional arrests for looting as the ATF begins the task of finding the cause of the deadly fires. But first, the race against the clock, with winds expected to pick up within hours. Gusts could reach 70 miles per hour. 8 million residents remain at the whim of the wind, facing a critical fire risk. More than 100,000 are under mandatory evacuation orders as the death toll rises. More than 12,000 structures believed to be either damaged or destroyed. An army of thousands on the ground and in the air joining the fight against the deadly Los Angeles fires. A California National Guard aircraft dropping fire retardant. Authorities warn about the threat from looters. 2 people were arrested near Vice President Kamala Harris's Brentwood home after a call about a possible burglary. Additional resources pour into the region. Crews from Mexico, Canada, and 9 other states are expected to deploy to the front lines. Officials say they're moving resources before the strong winds return, and they're urging residents hoping to return to their homes to be patient. The ATF takes the lead in the investigation, trying to determine the cause of the fires. Authorities now on the scene. The trained teams are looking at all potential causes, including arson or downed power lines. Our team is spread out across the Los Angeles region, and we time out the critical forecast for the next 24 hours and beyond. Across the country, a frigid Arctic blast returns with wind chills plummeting well below zero in some places. Days ahead of crucial confirmation hearings, the FBI investigates Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth's past as we look at the other Trump picks preparing to go under the microscope. Countdown to a historic launch. Blue Origin's new Glenn rocket gets ready to blast off. Where and when, you might be able to catch a glimpse. And America's strong tonight in the face of the horrific disaster. People helping people with random acts of kindness. It is, after all, the City of Angels.
Tonight, fanning the flames. Winds intensifying in Los Angeles, spreading the danger of new wildfires. The number of dead and missing rises.
Hour by the hour, the numbers increase.
Today, new views of the devastation.
I'm Maurice Dubois in the skies over Southern California, where we're able to give you an aerial perspective on what the people of LA are dealing with.
Entire neighborhoods torched.
I'm Elise Preston in Altadena, California, where some displaced residents are returning to see what's left of their homes.
The 2 biggest wildfires still raging and destroying. This C-130 from the California National Guard, one of 8 in the firefight. Also tonight, President-elect Donald Trump cast new criticism at California leaders.
Just to be clear, Mayor Bass, have you actually had a conversation with the president-elect since this disaster has happened?
I have not had a conversation directly with the incoming president.
So
I'm Tom Hansen in Pacific Palisades, where California leaders are managing a natural and political crisis as they prepare for a new fire threat.
Confirmation battles.
I'm Natalie Brand on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers this week will begin consideration of President-elect Donald Trump's key cabinet picks.
Plus, Elon's world. After embracing U.S. politics, the world's richest man turns his attention to Europe. And later, to the rescue, helping pets and animals impacted by California's wildfires.
You know, if the pet's in need and it's injured, we're going to take care.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
I hope you put this community back to what it was. Because that's what we deserve.
One man's excruciating choice to stay behind the fire lines to protect his home. On this Sunday night, the fight to stay ahead of the unrelenting flames in Southern California, as Canada and Mexico send support to the United States in the face of choice words from its president-elect.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. Canada should be a 51st state.
Political power play.
He's quite dangerous because he doesn't understand what he's talking about.
Why one of the world's wealthiest men is whipping up the far right in Europe. Plus, the Alberta Premier's Florida foray. Danielle Smith takes an impromptu trip to Mar-a-Lago.
Welcome to the Night Watch programme here on France 24. I'm Alexander Orcott. These are the top headlines this hour. The death toll from wildfires in Los Angeles rises to at least 24 as firefighters work frantically to control the flames before winds pick up once again. We bring you the latest from Mayotte, where a second storm has dumped torrential rains a month after Cyclone Chido devastated the French territory. Cyclone Dikeledi killed 3 people as it passed Madagascar. And hopes are again raised for a ceasefire deal in Gaza, allowing Israel to also secure the release of hostages, though many still remain sceptical. Thanks for being with us here on France 24. The death toll from the worst wildfires in Los Angeles history has now risen to at least 24, according to authorities.
This is Asia Now.
Hello and good afternoon. It's noon in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 a.m. in New Delhi, 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Yasmin Yonkers at this hour. Kiev offers to exchange captured North Korean soldiers for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. President Volodymyr Zelensky expects even more of Kim Jong-un's troops to be caught as the war continues. Leaders in Asia preparing for Trump 2.0 as they anticipate how U.S. policies will impact global alliances. Quad nations reportedly planning to meet right after Donald Trump's inauguration next week. The death toll from massive wildfires that have ravaged Los Angeles jumps to 24, and firefighters battling new blazes as stronger winds give no respite. And the world's largest religious gathering begins in India's Uttar Pradesh state. The Mahakumbh Mela is expected to draw up to 400 million people.
This is Sky News, the headlines. California's governor criticizes Donald Trump's claims about the state's wildfires, which have now killed at least 24 people.
That disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month.
Flames lick the celebrity enclave of Brentwood, with officials warning the strengthening winds are making the fire threat very high. The anti-corruption minister embroiled in a row about corruption, calls for Tulip Sadiq to lose her job. She says she's done nothing wrong. West Bank shooting. Sky News analyses CCTV showing a Palestinian grandmother shot in an IDF raid. The UN calls it a potential war crime. IVF with AI. We investigate how artificial intelligence might help boost the chances of a successful pregnancy. And killed in the line of duty. A North Yorkshire police officer dies in a road collision after stopping to help a driver. Her force says she was the best of British policing. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the programme. Fires have burned in Los Angeles for...
Hello it's 11 o'clock, which means it's time for tomorrow's newspapers tonight. Join us over the next hour to find out why Rachel from Account is up to her knees in it, why Berlin may soon resound to the pitter-patter of marching feet, and how the Royal Marine Commandos are dodging a close shave. I'm Simon Evans. Tonight I've got comedians Lewis Schaefer and Jonathan Cogan taking you through Monday's top stories. This is Headliners. But before tomorrow's news, let's go for one last time for tonight's headlines with Will Hollis.
Thank you, Simon. Your headlines at 11 o'clock. The Duchess of Sussex's new Netflix series will be delayed following the devastating fires in LA, the streaming service has announced. Meghan Markle said she's thankful to Netflix for supporting her in postponing the programme so she can focus on the needs of those impacted by the wildfires in her home state. Visiting victims alongside her husband Harry yesterday, Meghan's 8-part series, With Love, will now premiere on March the 4th instead of this Wednesday. And officials in Los Angeles say they're prepared for the next round of high winds that could fan blazes, with the military on standby to assist. Despite strained services, they say fire hydrants, which failed earlier this week, are ready for use. At least 16 people have been killed and thousands evacuated as fires rage on in California.
Strong north to northeast winds gusts are up to 50 miles per hour with low humidity will be observed. A red flag warning is in effect and will remain until 6 p.m. Wednesday evening.
Health Secretary Wes Streeting has described nurses as the backbone of our NHS after a staff member was left in a critical condition by a stabbing in a hospital's A&E department. The trust that oversees the Royal Oldham Hospital has said it is shocked and saddened by the attack which took place yesterday. A 37-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. The woman, who's in her 50s, suffered serious injuries and remains in hospital for treatment. In other news, an off-duty policewoman who was killed by a lorry as she helped at the scene of a crash epitomises the very best of British policing, a senior officer has said. PC Rosie Pryor was standing on the verge of the A19 at Bagby near Thirsk with the driver and passenger of one of the cars involved when the lorry collided with them yesterday morning. Miss Pryor and 41-year-old Ryan Welford from Knaresborough both died at the scene. The 65-year-old lorry driver was arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving. He's been released under investigation. The UK Health Security Agency has extended its cold weather health alerts for all of England until Tuesday. Amber alerts will now run until January the 14th, meaning a rise in deaths, particularly among those aged 65 and over, with health conditions, is likely. Temperatures dropped to minus 13.9 degrees overnight, but the Met Office has said the cold spell is coming to an end. And a cold night for this. London's Underground was filled with hundreds of people who weren't wearing any trousers today. The annual No Trouser Tube ride saw men and women proudly showing everything from boxer shorts to lacy underwear. A popular tradition in cities across the globe, it was described as good old-fashioned fun by one traveller. That's all for now. Let's get you back to Simon and Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, where we're all enjoying a private joke thanks to the teleprompt about the naked commuters there. Your first look now at tomorrow's top stories with three comedians. Before we dive in, let's take a quick look at what Lewis and Jonathan will have to work with on Monday's front pages. The Telegraph. Cabinet told cuts must be ruthless. And possibly Rachel lists. The Eye Grinder dating app is linked to dozens of child sex abuse cases. Nasty. Mirror, stab horror in A&E. The Express, Britain under tax assault. The Metro, LA Wallis. Difficult one to put into vocal form, that one. And Star, psst, wanna buy Britain? Here's Clarkson as the George Cole role. So The Guardian, Lewis, let's kick off with their front page.
Yes, old-fashioned. The Guardian. This is The Guardian. Good to see you. Good to see you, Simon. And so this is The Guardian. It costs £3 on a Monday. And yes, it's the most expensive newspaper, I think. It costs more money than not the Telegraph is £3. £3. I don't know whether you're interested in this, but it's The Guardian. It's not a newspaper. It's propaganda for the left. It's Team World. Anyway, it's got a selection of articles. 1/5 of young shun democracy, according to the poll. They found that 21% of people of young in the 20s and early 30s.
Sudan's military and its allies have taken back a strategic city from the rebel rapid support forces, officials confirmed. The recapture of the city of Wad Madani, the capital of Jazeera province, came more than a year after it fell to the RSF. Wad Madani had previously been a safe haven for displaced families in the early months of the war. The conflict in Sudan started in April 2023 when simmering tensions between the leaders of the military and the RSF exploded into open fire. The French government has just handed over its detachment camp in the city of Abshir to Chad. The Chadian Minister of Defense, his delegation and French officials participated in the ceremony. For the French military, the result of many years of presence in northern Chad has been strengthened through strong ties, not only with the Chadian soldiers, but also with the local population. It was good news for Ethiopia at the Dubai Marathon on Sunday as their athletes dominated the leaderboard. Bute Gemeshu secured the men's title with a time of 02:0451. The 23-year-old newcomer has only competed in a handful of international races so far. Meanwhile, in a dramatic women's finish, Bedatu Herpa overtook fellow Ethiopian Dela Dida on the finishing straight and won in a world lead of 02:1827. While the 25-year-old celebrated her biggest career win and a huge personal best, Dida looked devastated when she crossed the line 4 seconds behind in 02:1831. It was a sight to see alongside the famous landmarks in Dubai as Ethiopians secured the top 10 positions in both male.
Thank you for sparing your precious time. This is Amir Shakil. Have a good life. Bye-bye.